So there you are. You've just finished up your character's movements and now you want to tweak it to get it exactly how you want it. So you spend hours on it to get it just right. And hopefully, you do. Well, that was me this week. If you watched my last video, you would have seen that I made my first game. It was some weird looking Flappy Bird ripoff. But after that I thought, okay, sick. What am I going to do next? Now what I wanted to try to do this time was to try and recreate something almost exactly. Now you might ask, why would I want to recreate something again? Well, with the last game it wasn't really about how it looked or how the character moved, it was just about making something. And then I thought, okay, but what happens if I have an idea in my head? Will I be able to make that idea exactly how it is in my head? Well, that's what I tried to do this week. So I chose a game that everyone knows about, or at least hopefully knows about. I decided to try and recreate the first level of Super Mario Bros. Exactly. And I'm talking about almost exactly. That means the way Mario moves, the power-ups, the layout of the level, and then also the points. The first thing I tried to do was to work on Mario's movements and his animations. As you guys know, I'm not much of an artist, so if I were to go draw out Mario, I don't think it would look like him.
So I went on the internet and found some character sprites. I was actually quite surprised to find out that there were entire sprite sheets with all the elements from the game. I started with the basic animations, just Mario standing, walking, and then also jumping. And that was also with him facing both directions. I also noticed in the gameplay that Mario has this skid animation that when you're running in one direction really quickly and then change directions, he like skids before he actually changes directions.
I learned how to do animations last week, so it was pretty easy to do them for Mario. The difference between Mario and Flappy Bird is that there's a lot more animations for Mario than there were for Flappy Bird. So one thing that was quite challenging was to try and figure out how to switch between the different animations depending on what Mario was doing. But before I could figure out the specifics of that, I had to first code his movement.
So what I saw is that Mario has 3 basic movements: walking to the right or to the left, jumping up and down, and then also crouching. I decided to do the walking and the jumping first because they seemed the easiest. So I quickly put some code together and voila, he's doing the things.
But if you know Mario, you know this is not how he moves or jumps. So I went back to look at the game and just did a bit more research on his movements.
How Mario moves from the left to the right is that he actually speeds up to a maximum speed and stays at that speed until you make him do something else. I wasn't exactly sure what his maximum speed was, so I did some research and found out that it was around 6.84 meters per second, which is actually really fast. So I did some maths to figure out what force will be needed to make sure Mario reaches his maximum velocity. It's nice to know that my engineering degree is being used for some important things.
The other interesting thing about his movement is his jump. In the real world, when you throw something like a ball up, it has a symmetric arc as it flies through the air.
But it's different with Mario. When he jumps, he goes up like you'd expect, but then for some reason he falls faster on the way down. It's like his gravity just doubled when he falls.
I watched a video by Pontypants where he actually looks at Mario's jump and tries to figure out how it works.
He ended up making an app where you can put in different values for the physics on the character to check what the character's jumping will be with those values.
And like the smart person I am, I didn't use his app and tried to figure out all on my own. Because who doesn't want to spend hours trying to figure out how an Italian plumber with a mustache jumps around?
I spent the next while trying to get his jumping right, and after many failed attempts, I think I actually have something that's almost the same.
So have a look at this. I just finished up Mario's movements and I'm pretty sure it looks the same. Definitely need to do it just a bit more tweaking, but I think it's almost there. I decided to do the walking and the jumping now just to get the main movements of the game done. I'll do the skidding and the crouching after I've actually created the level. I guess it would be better to do it now, but to be honest, I'm just really not in the mood to do it. Now that I've finished the main movements, I have to go back to actually fix the animations. All that needs to be done is to just match up the animation with whatever movement Mario is busy doing.
Basically, if Mario isn't moving, then the standing animation will be activated depending on which direction he was facing last. Then for the jumping, it's also pretty simple. Whenever the spacebar is pressed, the jumping animation is activated. Like the standing animation, whatever direction Mario is facing will be the jump animation that was used. The running animation was a bit more complicated than the other two. I had to check if the right or the left arrow button was pressed to see what direction Mario was going to move. And then I also had to see if the button was continually being pressed down to see if the user actually wanted Mario to move in that direction, or if he just wanted him to change direction.
Every time I do the character animations, I find it so cool how the character animations just make the game so much better when they just match up with whatever movement the character's doing. It's such a small thing, but it's definitely one of the coolest things I can do at the moment. But that's not saying much because I don't really know anything at the moment. So there we are. That's what I did this week. It's not much, but hopefully every little step will lead to some big step. Like I said in the beginning, the whole reason I want to do Super Mario is because I want to show myself that I can actually recreate something exactly. Because I mean, it's all well and good to have ideas, but if you can't make it happen, are you really going to be happy with it? Hopefully at the end of this project I will have created the first level of Super Mario. And I'm not gonna lie, that would be really cool. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna be doing next week, but I guess we'll see. If you want to see my first game or wondering why I started this YouTube channel, you can just click on these videos.